So what do you get when you mix chunky metal riffs, blazing leads, and super aggressive lows all into one production? Just compress it down. You get Trivium. Did you guys get the same answer as me? Well, anyways, Bogren Digital has teamed up with the guys over at Trivium to bring us 3 new amp knobs in the Ampknob series that Bogren Digital has been building for quite some time now and absolutely killing it with. And I am super excited to dive into these guys, so let's go ahead and get into it. Trivium is just one of those bands that for every time I've ever seen them, they have never put on a bad show whatsoever. I mean, when they are on stage, the air is just electrified, and I don't know if it's Matt's vocals, Matt and Corey's crushing guitar tones, Paolo's driving bass, and the intense drums that Alex does, or what it is, or maybe just a good combination of all of them, which is probably what it is, but Trivium has definitely found success in making it into a lot of fans' hearts, mine included. So when I saw that Bogren Digital was teaming up with the guys over at Trivium to bring us 3 new amp knobs, the Rhythm Ampknob, the Leadknob, and the Bassknob, well, let's just say it was enough to make someone say, hell yeah. Bogren Digital has been absolutely killing it with their Ampknob series. It is hands down the easiest way to get studio quality guitar tones right out of the box and without even having to do anything to the plugin, so it is completely fuss free. And I just feel so lucky that my good friends over at Bogren Digital sent over the Trivium Ampknobs for me to check out and to share with you guys the awesome tones that you can get out of this plugin. But do keep in mind, even though these plugins were sent over to me, all thoughts and opinions are still mine. I want to keep this as unbiased as possible for you guys. So enough talking, let's get into it. Let's go ahead and start out with the Trivium Rhythm Ampknob. And you know, I figured this one was a great one to start out with because rhythm tends to be the foundation for just about everything in a song. And looking at the aesthetics of this Ampknob plugin right here, it is absolutely spot on. I am loving the dragon right here, and then you see the scales going up the side. It is so freaking cool. And then also the grill right up here, if you noticed, it resembles definitely that of the 6505 from Peavey, and I'm okay with that because I absolutely love that amplifier. It was my first tube amplifier ever, and I do know that Trivium at one point, maybe not now, but at one point they were playing 6505s, so I think that is really, really cool. But let's go ahead and go over the outlay of this plugin. So if you are not familiar with the Ampknob plugins from Bogren Digital, basically it is hands down the easiest way for you to get studio-ready guitar tones with very little effort. The EQ is already embedded on this plugin, and all you really have to worry about is how much gain you really want on it. And no matter what, you're always going to get a great guitar tone, and I think it is really, really cool what they have here. So there's the gain knob, obviously, right here. There is a power switch that you can turn on and turn off the amplifier. There is also a boost switch, and I find that the boost switch, at least on this plugin, it acts a little bit less like a boost and more like a channel selector, but we will get into that a little bit later. On the bottom, there's going to be a tuner with a mute button, so if you don't want to listen to the amplifier ringing out while you are tuning your guitar, you really don't have to. There's also a cab section, and the Trivium Rhythm Ampknob already comes preloaded with a modern cab and a vintage cab that we will get into a little bit later. But there's also a load IR section, and basically that is if you have a third-party IR that you really like, you can already load it up right in there. And then there's also a no cab section, so you can completely turn off the cab section of this plugin and let's say use a Torpedo Wall of Sound or a third-party IR loader. I know I tend to use the Torpedo Wall of Sound quite a bit, but you can definitely do that. And then also on the other plugins, as well as the rhythm plugin right here in the settings, there is going to be a gate and a reverb section that you can turn them on, turn them off. There's the gate threshold right here and then the reverb level, but the reverb is only on the clean channel, and we will get to that in just a moment. So for now, let's go ahead and just see what the Trivium Rhythm Ampknob sounds like straight out of the box. I think the video's done. That's the tone. That is the perfect tone right there. That sounds absolutely fantastic. Right out of the box, guys. It is definitely fuss free. You don't even have to do anything. I think the gain is sitting at about 7 here. Yeah, that sounds absolutely amazing. But let's go ahead. I want to bump up the gain all the way to 10. I want to see how much gain that this amplifier has. So in my own opinion, that's probably a little bit too much gain. So let's bring it back. Let's bring it to like 8.3. That's about the most gain that I would ever need, I would say. So this amplifier or this plugin here definitely has plenty of gain, but I'm gonna go ahead and bring it back down to that 7.0 there. It just sounds so great right out of the box. That is absolutely crazy. And something that I really love about the Ampknob plugins is that it is so simplified and you will not get distracted by a bunch of different settings and a bunch of different knobs. It's kind of plug and play in all honesty. Let's go ahead and check out the other sections of the boost part here. And let's do this. This is like the clean. Yeah, and you hear that nice subtle reverb on there. That reverb is really nice. I like that it's not too overbearing. And this clean, it's definitely not a pristine clean. It's more of like a breakup kind of clean. So if you like a little bit more of a dirtier clean, this is definitely the one for you. You hear that little bit of warble in there. I'm gonna lower the gain a little bit and let's see what we can do with that. See how much we can clean it up. Actually cleans up pretty nicely. Still has a little bit of that breakup, but actually cleaned up a lot nicer than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to bring this back to that 7.0 and let's take a look at the yellow boost mode, and it's more of like a crunchy mode. And even that right off the bat sounds pretty dang good. What happens if we boost the gain a little bit on that? So that's a pretty solid crunch tone, though I have a feeling if we take up that gain a little bit more, it might start to get a little fuzzy on us. No, actually it's not too fuzzy. Even with the gain all the way up at 10. That's not too bad at all. You know what the crunch channel really reminds me of is a 6505 amplifier, but not boosted. That is really interesting. Huh. Yeah, like you can really hear the high gain amplifier in there for sure, especially in the growl of the chords. But it definitely reminds me of a 6505 that hasn't been boosted. And then if we go to the red mode, that would be like it boosted. Yeah, that sounds absolutely awesome. You could really hear how percussive it gets as soon as we go into the red mode of the boost channel there. I'm just gonna call it the channel. That's kind of what it reminds me of, but it just sounds so good, just that. Like you can hear every percussive hit of the chugs on it. So those really fast chugs, the percussive hits don't get lost in there. Sounds great. So really quick, before we move on to some other amp plugins here, let's go ahead and check out the vintage cab on the IR section. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so that actually sounds pretty good, though I will say the vintage cab in the IR section, it is lacking a little bit of that low end. So this is the modern cab. So to me, the modern cab definitely has more fullness for sure. Both of them sound really good, though if I had a choice between the modern and the vintage, I would probably choose the modern. But let's go ahead and check out some of the other amp knobs in the Trivium pack. Okay, so this is the Trivium lead knob, and as the name suggests, it is mostly for that of lead guitar playing. So the outlay is pretty similar. You have your big old gain knob here, and then you do have a delay switch and a Corey switch, which the Corey switch, named after Corey in the band Trivium, of course, is a chorus and a doubler, just to kind of thicken up your lead tones a little bit. And we'll check that out here in just a second. And the only other difference that I can see on the lead knob versus the rhythm amp knob is that in the cab section, there is just a matched cab rather than having the modern and vintage cab. But let's go ahead and see what the lead knob sounds like just right out of the box. Yeah, this one too sounds really good straight out of the box, and that's kind of what Bogren Digital was really going for. Let's see what it sounds like without the delay and the Corey on. Yeah, it sounds really good, even dry, but I will say I do like to have some delay or at least a reverb on my lead parts. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn both of these guys on. Something that is really cool with the Trivium Leadknob is you can hit this open tab right here and it'll bring out all the different details on the delay and the Corey switch. So the Corey switch has the amount, the depth, the delay has time, feedback, level. You could do the ping pong because it is a ping pong effect that is going on whenever I hit it. You can hear it kind of going back and forth, and actually I really like the ping pong effect. And then there's also the sync mode as well. And then let's go ahead and mess around with this a little bit. I'm gonna leave the time where it's at, but I want to create like a really long feedback, and let's bring it in even more here and let's see what we can do. Yeah, that's awesome. Totally spacey. I absolutely love it. But let's check out the Corey mode. And I'm going to bring these guys back down just a little bit so we can hear this a little bit better. But let's just like go crazy. Let's bring everything to the max level on the Corey mode and let's see what we can get. Yeah, when you bring up a chorus like all the way, you kind of get that circusy sound to it. I absolutely love it. And even with the Corey maxed out on the Trivium Leadknob, still sounds really freaking good. I'm really liking that as well. That's kind of a cool sound design thing that you can do. But yeah, definitely with the feedback and level all the way up, I can see myself using this delay quite a bit. It's like that arena rock kind of lead. I absolutely love it, guys. That is awesome. Yeah, the Leadknob is totally solid, but really quick, because the distortion sounds really good on this, I want to see, will this work for rhythms? Yeah, the Leadknob definitely works for rhythms. I could definitely see myself doing some rhythms with that because it still captures the essence of the rhythmic rhythms that I really like to do with a lot of chugs and just following the kick drum and all that stuff. It sounds really good. So if you don't want to use the Trivium Rhythm Ampknob for rhythms, you can definitely use the Leadknob as well. And I will say it doesn't sound quite as full as the Rhythm Ampknob does, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. That might give the bass guitar a little bit of space as well. Play around with it a little bit. But let's check out the final amp knob. Alright, the final plugin in the Trivium Ampknob Bogren Digital pack is their Bassknob. And as you can see, it doesn't quite have as many things as the Leadknob or the Rhythm Ampknob, but that's okay because it is the Bassknob and it has everything that really matters for bass. There is the gain, of course, and then there's a drive switch. So it's fairly laid back in that sense. But let's go ahead and see what this sounds like right off the bat here. Yeah, that sounds absolutely fantastic. I am just fine with that. And I'm curious to what it even sounds like if I boost it up all the way to 10. So the bassist in my band tends to have a lot of crunch and a lot of distortion on his bass guitar. Really helps it blend in with the rhythm guitars as well. So let's check that out really quick. Man, that is absolutely just gnarly sounding. That is definitely a bass tone that I would want to have on one of my own productions. But really quick, let's just go ahead and turn off the drive switch and let's see what it sounds like there. Yeah, so like I expected, it sounds like a really clean bass amplifier. So I think the drive switch on is really where all the magic happens. And then on this plugin right here, the Bassknob, it also has its own matched cab. It only has one, but if you want to add your own IRs, you can definitely do that, just like with the Leadknob. But yeah, no, this sounds absolutely awesome. Yeah, this plugin right here is solid. This is my first Bassknob. I know Bogren Digital has another Bassknob, and I never actually ended up getting that one, but this one I can definitely see myself using this quite a bit on my own productions. All of these plugins have been absolutely solid, and they will give you great tones right out of the box, as you guys can see. I'm loving it. I just want to put out a huge thank you to my good friends over at Bogren Digital for sending me out the Trivium Ampknobs so that I could check it out right here on the channel for you guys. All three of these plugins, the Bassknob, the Leadknob, and the Ampknob Rhythm, all sound absolutely fantastic, and I can definitely see myself using them in my own productions, so they will certainly be put to good use. The Ampknob series is just hands down the best way to get studio quality guitar tones with little fuss, and I cannot wait to see what Bogren Digital does with it next. If you are wanting to get your hands on the Trivium Ampknobs, I will have the link for that down in the description below. Also, please let me know down in the comments, what are your thoughts on the Trivium Ampknobs? I'm really excited to see what you guys think. If you are enjoying my videos in any way, shape, or form, please consider hitting that subscribe button and that like button just to let YouTube know that my video doesn't suck. And also, if you are wanting to check out any more of the Ampknobs, I recommend checking out this video right here. And with that being said, my name is Chris with High Impact Audio, and I will see you guys next time.